let's put Texas Tech and Houston under the microscope for upset alert. This is the upset alert microscope. Should Texas Tech and Houston be worried about it this weekend? And you might say, John, Houston is playing West Virginia. What could you possibly be talking about? There are a couple of reasons. I can make you a case here that Houston should be paying attention to this one, okay? And that's not me being a Houston hater, all right? I have acquiesced. Speaking of teams that have just continued to hit their head against the ceiling that I have put on them, I mean, Houston's broken through that like 4 or 5 times already this year. So I understand. I am monster Willie Fritz fan, I can assure you, okay? But Texas Tech is where we'll start here, because I think Texas Tech is one that, like, nationally, this is getting some run in a spot where, like, people are like, hey, watch out for this one. You know, if you're thinking about upsets here, I think I am of two minds on Texas Tech and K-State. And it is, one, situationally, I think almost everything would tell you that Texas Tech is in danger here, that this is a game that should 100% bright, flashing neon lights be like upset alert, watch out here. You have Texas Tech looking ahead potentially to next week. Monster game, like Big 12 game of the year next week if they win. Texas Tech and BYU. College game day, probably going to be there if Texas Tech wins. I'll talk more about that later. A part of that is that Reese Davis from ESPN basically dropped a hint live on the air this week on ESPN that would be the case. Beyond that, you've got a 4-4 team in K-State that's playing much better than its record indicates. K-State is so similar to me to 2024 Kansas. Good team that is much better than its record because they finally figured things out and things have clicked. Probably too late for any significant accomplishments for them this year, but it means that they could absolutely be the spoiler. And last year, what did Kansas do? They spoiled it for BYU. So you got to watch out here. You're going to have a juiced home crowd and a tough place to play. I can tell you, K-State fans, I think thought, hey, this whole year, we're just not going to get a good big-time home game because the team lost in Ireland early and then was 1-3. It was like, hey, we're not going to get a meaningful, good home game. They've got one now. And there's no better way to rally K-State fans than punking Kansas, and that's what happened last week. So the fans are back on board. It's a 2:30 game on like a 50-degree fall November day. There's going to be a juiced crowd. You've got quarterback injury issues at Texas Tech. I know Baron Morton is back, but things are getting pretty thin there. And then you've got the series, like the psychological advantage potentially there. K-State's won 8 straight. They've won 12 of 13. The last time Texas Tech won in Manhattan, the game was coached between Mike Leach and Ron Prince, if that tells you something. So all of those things would tell you situationally, man, Tech's in some danger here. But here's the problem. Here is the problem. K-State still got to block Romello Height. K-State still got to block David Bailey, right? Lee Hunter is still going to be clogging the middle if K-State is trying to run the ball with Joe Jackson. By the way, not Dylan Edwards is not going to play, and I would anticipate he's not going to play the rest of the year. Yeah, when you start looking at the individual matchups here, you look at Tech's talent across the board, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Like that defense, not just statistically, but like personnel-wise, it's like, dude, even if you get past that, the front four, you got Jacob Rodriguez, who's probably the best linebacker in the Big 12, roaming there. I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you do it. It's hard to come up with a recipe when you start like breaking down actual individual matchups for K-State in this game. And, you know, I've seen Tech fans saying all week, like, hey, K-State has not seen a defense like this. Hey, no argument here. They have not. I mean, not even close. Matt Wells, K-State's offensive coordinator, said that at the press conference that he had today. Like, no, not at all. Definitely have not. It's going to be tough. Nobody has run the ball on Texas Tech this year. Nobody. And K-State has a very pedestrian run game. So how does that how are they going to run the ball? I do not know, man. Joe Jackson, love you. He's a pretty pedestrian back. Devon Rice is young and small. That's what you've got. You don't have the explosive game breaker in Dylan Edwards. I don't know. It's hard for me to see it. I think K-State's defense can hang because they have become very opportunistic. They have forced more turnovers than all but 2 teams in the country this year. And Baron Morton, even with Morton in the game, Tech has struggled to finish drives. So if K-State can be bend but don't break with turnovers and field goals, I think they can keep them in this game. But I don't know how the offense is going to do it. K-State needs to throw the ball down the field, and you got to protect Avery Johnson long enough for him to get the ball down the field. Tech's averaging over 3 sacks a game. I don't know. I think enough of those factors come together where it's like I think K-State can hang. I think they can be in the game. But I do feel like Texas Tech is going to win that game. And here's the other problem. Special teams scare the crap out of me if I'm thinking of this from K-State's side too. Texas Tech has some really good return units. K-State has had their struggles with that. Here, though, is that I fear K-State making a big special teams mistake because it seems to happen damn near every week. Here last week, they fumbled the opening kickoff. It leads to a Kansas touchdown. I mean, if not for that, KU might have lost by 40. But here's this. K-State's offense has protected the ball very well this year. K-State's offense has turned the ball over 3 times the entire season. That is it. 3 times. K-State's special teams have turned the ball over 5 times this year. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So I am worried about what happens in special teams this week. I think that could be a real edge for Texas Tech. So would I put Texas Tech on upset alert? Yeah, I think it's fair to say on alert, but I would pick Texas Tech to win the game. Houston. All right, now Houston. I know they're playing West Virginia. I know it's at Houston. I get it. They're 12.5-point favorites for a reason. That makes sense. But I bring this game up just to say Houston might be feeling the love quite a bit coming off of its best win of the season. All right. If there were a win this year to be like basking in for the Cougars, it would be that one over Arizona State. Say what you will about who was playing or who wasn't playing. Like I think that's the best win of the year, going on the road to Arizona State and having them down 24-0. It's the best game of the year that Willie Fritz and Houston have played. Now you're coming back to play a bad team at home. How up are you going to be for that game? How excited are you going to be for that game? And West Virginia did, to me, seem they at least got a little something going last week with Scotty Fox as a freshman quarterback. 301 yards, 2 TDs, no picks against TCU. And they fought, man. They fought TCU 23-17. It was 23-10, and then they scored in the fourth quarter to make it 23-17. Like they made it close. I mean, enough that I'm looking around like TCU, like what's – again, I have you guys know really TCU just kind of annoys me because I think of so much of their talent and they should be finishing games better and they're not, but they didn't really finish well against West Virginia. And so I think, all right, we have seen West Virginia put up a better fight against like BYU earlier this year on the road than I anticipated that they would. And now maybe they've gotten a quarterback going after losing Nico earlier this year. I certainly would not pick West Virginia to win the game, but I do throw that out there to say situational spot, Houston team, Houston program that's getting used to being back in the spotlight, winning games like this. There's at least enough for me to put it on the scale somewhere. I don't want to steal Josh Pate's whole bit where he's putting a 1 through 10 number on the upset alert sort of meter. But if I were going to, I would say this is 3 or 4, something like that. I don't think it's going to happen. But I would at least throw that game on your radar this week.